all out, even though there's a bunch of it I don't quite understand, but we are recording. All right. So just because the smoke that we're having, I'd like to do something that opens up the lungs, not vigorously, but more in a calming way. So hopefully you all have some kind of blanket, and kind of make it a habit to bring your blanket to class, because I like to do a lot of things using a blanket. And basically we're going to fold it in such a way. So I have one of those cotton blankets like what we have at Water's Edge. And I'm folding it in thirds so that it's about a hand width or a bit longer apart, width, I mean. And then I'm going to lie down on it vertically.
Burning.
And then taking the arms out to the sides. So what this is doing is it's raising your chest a little bit away from the floor so that the arms have a little bit further to drop down towards the floor. And that stretches open the muscles, the pectorals, and the rib cage. And just that simple reposition is gently stretching all your breathing muscles. I would recommend, especially if you have any back discomfort, to keep your legs bent at the knees, and you can just prop the knees against each other. And you can close your eyes if you want here and just take a few moments just to unwind from your day. Allow yourself to get in a meditative mood.
It's something about a meditation.
And not necessarily needing to change how you're breathing at all, but be more just noticing, feeling your body breathe. In particular, maybe just starting off by noticing that the belly is rising and falling as you breathe. The abdominal muscles are key breathing muscles. So the belly muscles tend to relax as you're breathing in, and then they tighten up or contract as you exhale. And then see if you can just notice your rib cage. As you breathe in, feeling the side ribs kind of move out to the sides a little bit and the bottom ribs lift up. And then with the exhale, all of that relaxes away. And then noticing the upper chest, the sternum or the breastbone lifting a little bit as you breathe in. Settling back down again as you exhale. With the next couple of exhales, see if you can make them a little bit longer. And as you do that, you might notice that your belly muscles tighten up a little bit and around the rib cage tightens up a little bit. And then feel all those muscles lengthen or relax or stretch as you breathe in with the next nice deep breath. And then again, a nice long slow exhale, and feel the belly muscles and the intercostal muscles of through the ribs tighten up with a long exhale. And then they release and stretch as you breathe in. One more breath like that. And then just let your awareness of the breath melt away. Feel your arms heavy on the floor, relaxed into the floor. And maybe notice if there's any feeling of opening across the upper chest, the fronts of the shoulders. Bringing the arms straight up towards the ceiling now and interlacing your fingers, turning the palms towards the sky and just pressing the heels of the hands up. Just to give your arms a big stretch here. And as you do, feel your shoulder blades lifting as well. And then take those interlaced fingers in the direction of your head. Not all the way to the floor, just a little ways. And then come back again to that starting position. Just repeat that a couple of times. Just getting some gentle movement in the arms. Try not to lift your rib cage. Just leave it where it is. The only thing that's moving is the arm bones. One more here. And then unlace the fingers and bring the arms right down alongside your body, palm down on the floor. And then if you haven't already got your legs bent at the knees, go ahead and bend them and walk your heels in towards your hands. As if you're trying to reach your hands towards your heels. They might touch the heels, they might not, that's okay. You're just trying to reach them towards each other. And press your upper arms towards the floor. They might not all the way come down to the floor, but just feel that stretch there through the rib cage again and across the chest muscles. And if you want to here, you can press down into the feet and come up into the easy bridge pose. Just lifting the pelvis up, really feeling rooted through your feet. Maybe your glutes are engaged to help lift the pelvis. You might feel a stretch through the thighs. And then just let it all melt away as you lower the pelvis back down. Roll the palms up towards the ceiling and take your arms out to the sides of the body. Okay, let's roll off of the blanket or towel, whatever you're using. Move it out of the way. Come back onto your back. And just notice how that all feels. Relax the arms into the floor. And starting with the feet and knees about hip width apart, still bent at the knees, let's do a couple of butterfly movements. So you're just opening the knees out to the sides and then bringing them back to the starting position. And try to relax the shoulders, the jaw, the eyes, and keep a nice, easy breath flowing. Again, nothing changes in your back at all. It's not arching and flattening. It's just resting. Just moving the leg bones. Good. Let's draw the right knee in towards the belly to give it a hug. You can have your interlaced fingers either at the top of the shin or at the back of the knee. And the left leg can stretch out towards straight. If you like here, you can lift your head away from the floor and bring your nose towards your knee. One more big breath in here. And then relax that right foot onto the floor, keeping the knee bent. And let's bring the left knee in towards the belly. Give it a hug. Stretch the right leg out towards straight. Lifting the head if you like. Releasing. Both knees in towards the belly. Make circles with the feet. Get the ankles going a little bit. Okay, let's make our way over onto your left side. And you can put support under your head if you like. And we're just going to try, oh, I got my kitty at the door here. I'm going to let him in. But we're going to do the sunrise sunset. Come in. Come on. Come on. You coming? Come on. Okay. Okay. So I'm just lifting the right arm up towards the ceiling and then bringing it back down a couple of times. That's the sunrise. The sunset is lifting the arm up and then adding a twist. So the twist happens in the rib cage. We're not trying to get that right arm onto the floor at all. It just moves because our rib cage moves. And then you can go all the way back to the starting position. Inhaling up, twist, and exhaling to come all the way down. Yes, kitties. All right, let's try the other side. So your hips and shoulders are stacked. Floating that left arm up nice and straight. And then bringing it back down. Breathing in as you take the arm up. Exhaling as you bring it back down. And then you can add the twist whenever you like. Inhaling the arm up, twisting the rib cage, bringing it all the way back down on the exhale. So one more repetition. And then we'll make our way onto hands and knees. Hands and knees for some cat-cow. Notice the parts of your spine that are feeling a little tighter than others or a little stiff. Breathe into them. And you can stay with doing cat-cow, or if you want, you can take the hands a little bit more forward and try the modified up dog, lowering the pelvis towards the floor. And the modified down dog, taking the hips back by the heels. That's the way. And then we'll take a rest pose and child pose, which isn't actually only a rest pose. It's also a nice stretching for the low back. So you can stack your fists or your hands to rest your forehead on, or use the block, or maybe your forehead meets the floor and you can take your hands back by your feet. And again, just bringing a gentle focus on the breath. We spent some time at the beginning of practice sort of stretching and contracting the front breathing muscles. Now we can experience the back breathing muscles a little more. Yes, we even use our back muscles to breathe. Feel your rib cage expanding with the in-breath. One more breath here. And then coming up to whatever comfortable seated position you like. And just a reminder that breathing helps us to detoxify 70% of the toxins in our body. And of course, the air that we've been breathing this last week or so has a lot of toxins in it. So keeping up some good breathing indoors, like not in a smoky environment, obviously, but just, bringing a gentle, deeper awareness of your breathing to help keep up with detoxifying for your body, I think is pretty important these days. So we're just going to do some gentle twists from side to side again. So sit nice and tall and a nice breath in. And then with your exhale, just spiral around to one side. And at the end of that exhale, take another breath in as you come back to center. And then exhale around to the other side. Inhale as you come back. Exhale to the other side. Just back and forth at your own pace with your breathing. I think of twists as kind of wringing out, and in particular, we're wringing out the torso, the rib cage, the lungs. Okay, and then a couple of side bends to open up the side ribs. So take your right hand and walk it out on the floor away from you, and then bring the left arm up and over. And then root down through the sitting bones to come up nice and tall, and then over to the other side. Walk the left hand out, right arm comes up and over. Root down to come up nice and tall, over to the other side. Once more, over to the other side. Good. And then just taking the hands behind you and interlacing the fingers, or you could hold on to your wrists or your block or your strap, And just gently gathering the shoulder blades together and then releasing. Shoulder blades together, bring the elbows in towards each other and then releasing. In and out. You can, as you breathe in, you're opening up the chest, and as you take the arms and the shoulder blades together, you're exhaling. Once more, get those muscles between the blades nice and warm. And then relax. Bring the arms forward and interlace the fingers once again, taking the arms up overhead. Good, and then down. Adele, because you're the only one I can see, you get all my attention. And I'm just
goody. They didn't push the blue button on the right-hand side.
Oh, maybe that's what it was.
Maybe I could mute myself. Disappear myself.
Yeah. All right. So now let's make our way to downward facing dog. And remember last week, I think it might have been this class, that I talked about you can always use the wall to do a downward dog on as well. Or sometimes it's just not the pose for you today and you get to do something different in that period of time. And because I can't see all of you, you really can just stand and watch me do it. You can always do a modified down dog too. And I think it's just good for the circulation to have the head down. Of course, if you have any eye pressure issues or unmedicated high blood pressure or a headache, this wouldn't be the thing to do. But for the kind of headache that I get from the smoke, this actually helps a little bit. Just sort of gives it increased blood flow to the brain and kind of cleanses it out a bit, is what I imagine. You could be pedaling your heels towards the floor if you like to stretch out the backs of the legs. And then go ahead and walk the feet forward and roll up to standing. All right. Here we are. I've got extra lights on me tonight because I just wanted to see what it was like, because eventually it's going to start getting dark. Heaven forbid. All right. So let's try our warrior two. So I've got the right leg forward, bent at the knee is right above the ankle. I've got my left foot back. I'm just finding a stance where it feels comfortable in my back, and I feel some opening through the hips. Good. So arms are up at shoulder level. Remember, if you've got something going on in the shoulder, it's quite all right to just have one arm up, or you could do half an arm, working towards a full arm. Soft gaze over your right hand. So there's a twist for the neck. Just get a sense, why do we do this pose? What is it about it that makes it a remarkable pose to do? And feel your rib cage expanding with the in-breath. All right, let's take that right hand up towards the ceiling and open up that that right rib case. Breathing into it. Meanwhile, the left rib cage is getting squished. And then we'll make our way to triangle pose. So both legs are straight, tip the pelvis. One arm is reaching down or resting lightly on your right leg. The other arm is reaching up towards the ceiling. Good. If your neck is quite happy today, you can look up at that left hand. If it's not so happy, you can look down towards your right foot. If you want to challenge your balance, you can always close your eyes. If you want to work your core, you can always lift your toes. Pressing down into the feet, move the pelvis to come up. Relax the arms down. Let's pivot the feet so we can do a wide leg forward fold. So I've got the outside edges of my feet parallel with the short ends of my mat. And your choice what you do with the arms. I'm going to interlace the fingers behind the back to open up more through the shoulders and the rib cage. And then tip the pelvis forward. Lift the sitting bones. Press out into the feet as if you're trying to move them on your mat. Press them both out away from each other. Breathe. Make sure you have equal weight on the heels and the toes. Press down into the feet and come up. Releasing those hands. And let's make some circles with the shoulders. See if you can feel the shoulder blades also moving, not just the arm bones. Good. Pivot the left foot now so it's pointing towards the short end of your mat. And find your stance for warrior two here. And then floating the arms up to shoulder level. Doesn't have to be shoulder level. If that's causing tension in through your neck, you could always lower the arms a bit. Breathe. Those of you who are wanting to increase your strength, start maybe counting your breaths and just seeing how it feels to be here for 3 breaths maybe. And over time, growing it to 4 breaths or 6 breaths. Exalted warrior will take the left arm up and over the head. Stretch open the left rib cage and feel the right rib cage getting smaller. Nice, easy breath here. Feel your whole body working here. And then press down into the feet to come up. Tip your pelvis over the left leg into triangle pose. And then press down into the feet and move the pelvis to bring your spine and your head up. Pivot the feet. And don't pivot them all the way in. We'll pivot them out a little bit so we can come down into goddess pose. All right. bringing the arms forward and then bending them at the elbow. And we can do yoga pec deck, that's the way. So taking the forearms out to the sides and then back together parallel with each other. So that your elbows and wrists are in alignment with each other. Good. All right, and straighten the legs, straighten the arms for 5-pointed star. Really feel a lift and an opening through the solar plexus. It's a good diaphragm stretch. Diaphragm is another one of the important breathing muscles. Good. Relax the arms down and make some circles through the shoulders. And step the legs together. And we'll make some hip circles. That's the way. Feel how your feet adapt to you moving your center of gravity in this big circle. You'll be on your toes a little bit more and then your heels a little bit more. You'll be on the outside of the edge of a foot for a while and then the inside of the edge of the foot. Change direction if you haven't done that already. Good. And then find yourself some wall space, or you could use a chair, something that's going to stabilize you. And we're going to do a wall twist, a twist at the wall. You could have your foot up on a block or a stool, a small stool, or depending on your level of strength, you could just be lifting it. And get a feeling for your pelvis being very stable, because we're going to twist the upper body away from the pelvis. We're twisting towards the wall, towards that lifted foot. And you can, if you're close enough to the wall, you can put your hands on it. Another option here is I'm twisting towards the right. So I'm taking my left hand across my body, and instead of putting it on the wall, I'm putting it on my lifted right knee. And then the left arm, you can reach it towards the wall behind you. So you're doing a balance pose. And easing out of that pose and out of the twist, and just pause for a moment and feel the asymmetry that when we do a pose on one side of the body, how it, that standing leg gets really worked, the outer hip that's stabilizing you, the rib cage feels different. And then other side. So as with every pose, you're making sure your foundation is nice and stable before you add the complexity of a twist. So once you feel stable, use your oblique abdominal muscles to twist. Twisting towards the wall. Of course, don't forget to breathe. Being mindful when you come out of the twist. And again, just experiencing what you've created in your body with that movement. Okay. So that was, maybe some of you practice that as a balance pose. Well, here comes another balance pose. I'd like to do the tree for one. So whenever we're standing on one leg, try to imagine, you've heard me talk about the largest core muscles in the body are the ones on the outer hip and the upper inner thigh. They're like the guy wires, I think is the analogy I used last week, that help to keep your antenna from getting blown off your roof. So they really need to connect that leg up into the stability of the pelvis. So that's one place that can be vulnerable. The next place is where the rib cage in relation to the pelvis. You need to have a connection there, a stability there. So if you've got a stable pelvis, but your rib cage is all over the place, then you're going to be toppling all over. So think about it being knit, those bottom ribs being connected to the brim of the pelvis. So I'm going to start my tree with my right knee out to the side, and I'm going to attach it to my standing leg. And I've got my leg connected to my pelvis and my rib cage connected to my pelvis. Only when I feel like I've got that stability, then I can build the limbs of the tree, either cactus or pine tree, or sometimes it's a weeping willow. Sometimes it's not even a tree, it's a bunch of tumbleweed. So soft gaze, relaxed jaw, and the breath. Let your roots relax deep into the soil. Again, if you're building strength, just take a pose for 2 or 3 breaths to start with, and then come out of the pose and rest, and then try it again for 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 breaths. So you're gradually building your stability. And you've heard me say over and over again, it's quite all right to use some support. If you're using the support, then you have a chance to actually knit the rib cage to the pelvis and to knit stability in the outer standing leg muscles. So build your pose from the root ball up. This one, I've got my bent knee on the wall. I could have my hand on the wall too, but with that knee on the wall, I feel like it can be really nice and stable and grow a nice tall tree. We have a couple of sequoia redwood trees, one on either side of our driveway here. So I always imagine that I'm one of them. And they've got tons of roots. They have roots that are on the surface, and they also have roots that are down into our neighbor's sewer and water. Anyway, grow your roots out far. All right. Again, when you finish your pose, take a few moments, pause. You know, when it seems like things are heating up in the world these days in more ways than one. And practicing pausing is so integral. I know for me, I notice how quickly I am to react. Reflexive, patterned reaction. to things. And so I'm always consciously working on building in pauses. And we call yoga practice, it really is a practice. It's a practice of learning how to move with intention, curiosity, to repattern some of our habits in movement, as well as our habits in how we react to what's happening in life. So when you finish a pose, that's a perfect opportunity to practice pausing, just taking in the impact of what you're choosing to do in the moment and the impact it has on your body, and then adapting. So if you get exhausted when you come, if you find yourself exhausted after a pose, then you take that into account when you go to do the pose on the other side, or when you go to do the next pose, that you're going to pay a little bit more attention to the impact of that pose in the moment. So let's see, what shall we do for our next pose? Let's try a pyramid pose, and then we can turn that into a twist. So pyramid pose makes a nice wide base, just like a pyramid. So take a step forward in such a way that your pelvis and your spine are still neutral. So make sure that you haven't gotten into a sort of a sideways turn. You want to keep the front of the body just the way it is when it's standing. Both legs are straight. And then we're just tipping the pelvis forward, keeping that neutral spine. It doesn't have to come a long ways. It depends on how your spine is feeling and how big and heavy your head is. And then the arms, just bring them right down alongside your hips and reach the fingers towards the direction that they're pointing. That's the way. Nice, Adele. And lift the kneecaps so you feel your thigh muscles working. Good. This is also, with the reaching of the arms, it's good for tightening up the wings. Now take those hands and put them on your rib cage, and continue to feel really stable in your feet. And we're going to turn the rib cage a little bit towards the right, and then let your left hand come towards that right leg, whether it's the thigh or the knee. That's the way. And now with the right arm pointed at the wall on your right, and then lift the back of the hand up towards the ceiling. That's the way. You got it, Adele. Yep, that's it. Good. And just breathe there. When you're ready to come out, bring that arm in and then undo the twist. Nice. Come up. Bring the back foot forward or bring the front foot back, whatever works for you. And take a moment here. Feel what's happening in the body. Another thing that I like about yoga, it's so body aware, it's so much body awareness. And oftentimes, especially in stressful times, we get caught up in worrying and thinking and imagining and reacting. So you can always come back home to the body and feel how you're feeling in your body. It's the same kind of feeling as coming home at the end of a stressful day and you're back in your home. So that's, can be that feeling of ease. So let's feel what happens in the body now as we do this pose on the other side. So I'm taking the left leg forward, making sure there's no twist in my spine. And I'm just going to put the backs of my hands on the back of my pelvis and tip it forward, keeping the pelvis nice and level. That's the way. Kneecaps lifting. Notice how you're breathing. Notice what's going on in the mind, and see if you can just stay present here with the breath and sensations in the body. And then you can slide your hands up to your side ribs and feel what happens in them as you twist towards the left. Bringing the right hand somewhere on that left leg. Right hand on, yeah. And then stretch the left arm up towards the ceiling. Good. See how many breaths you take here. How many breaths before you feel like you need to finish the pose? Feel the in-breath and the out-breath.
Graceful.
Slowly undoing the twist, bringing the arm in. Whenever you're coming up from a forward fold like this, think about moving your pelvis. Just try to move from that hinge at the top of the hips, the pelvis to come up, and then step the feet together. And again, just noticing how you feel. All right. I think let's try an eagle pose, another balance pose. I want to do something more for the arms. We've done several taking the arms back, so now we'll bring the arms in front. Oh, I know, instead of the eagle legs, let's try a crescent lunge. So this will be challenging for balance. So we're taking a big step forward with the right foot, and your left heel will just naturally come away from the floor a little bit. So that's going to make you wobbly. So if you don't like that wobbly feeling, you could put your blanket or your block underneath that heel to make it more stable, or you can put the heel up on the wall and press into that heel to make you more stable. And then let's bring the arms forward, and I'm going to cross the left arm on top of the right, or you can give yourself a hug. Nice deep breath here. If you're feeling like you've got a nice stable foundation, you can think about moving into a bit of a back bend. So my elbows are starting to lift towards the ceiling. My head is coming back a bit. So explore where you can go. Breathe. Bringing the elbows down slowly and unwrapping them. Take the weight on the front foot and bring the back foot forward. So another thing that you can practice in your yoga practice is sometimes the body just or the mind isn't up for doing a full pose. You can always do just the top half of a pose or the bottom half of a pose. So as we move into this pose on the other side, that might look like just doing the leg portion of the pose. There's lots going on there. It's kind of wobbly. So whenever you're feeling wobbly, just know you're strengthening your core. When you're wobbly, your core is going to work to stabilize you so you don't fall over. So all you do is just notice the wobbles, feel the ankle wobble a little bit, or maybe the rib cage or a leg. Try to relax your jaw, try to relax your shoulders. And so instead of bracing, your core muscles have to work, but outer hips, upper inner thighs, your abdominal muscles, your back muscles, your diaphragm. So you could just do that, and or this time the right arm is on top, and you can take the legs out of it and just do the upper part of the pose. So there's always lots of opportunities in this yoga practice to practice listening to your body and mind and finding ways that actually nourish it and that challenge you too, but that give you a sense of well-being rather than stress or pushing, striving. And with this stretch here again, you can add a bit of a back bend as you lift your elbows up, your rib cage is going to lift up as well. That stretches all around the diaphragm. Breathe. Practice knowing when enough is enough. Always leaving yourself enough foot spots or whatever, enough energy to be able to come out of a pose with some composure.
Yeah.
And sometimes we fall out of poses. So it's not always about getting it perfect. Yoga is actually more how do we respond when we fall out of a pose rather than our reaction. So it's another opportunity to practice. All right, I want to do another strengthening one before we come down to the floor. We're going to come part way down to the floor. So chair pose. You can have both legs in close together and press them in towards each other. And can you feel the muscles on the upper inner thighs when you press in? And you also might notice the glutes are working as well. That's those two global stabilizers, the outer hips and the upper inner thighs working. So how low can you go? Your butt is reaching towards the wall behind you. So you can just work the bottom part of this pose. And or you can add one arm reaching forward alongside the ear or both arms. Arms are reaching forward, butt is reaching back. That's the way.
This is how I garden.
Yeah, it is?
Yeah.
What are you picking? Figs or something?
Something like that.
All right, let's release it all and bring your hands down onto the mat and come down onto our belly. If you're not comfortable getting on your belly, you can do this next one pose, I guess, looking at the time here. You can imagine the wall is the floor, and you're just bringing your belly up close to the wall. And we're just doing a little mini back bend. So arms alongside the body. Look straight down at your mat and lifting the arms, reach them towards the wall behind you. Engage your belly muscles and your glutes. And then lift the toenails away from the floor a little bit and breathe. Try not to let your belly get soft. Good, and then soften it all now. You can make your way to child pose if you like, or just simply roll over onto your back. And we'll do a lying down twist to finish with. So your choice of lying down twist. You could just take both knees over to the side and turn the head in the opposite direction. Or you can cross right leg over left and take them both towards the floor on the left and turn your face in the other direction. Or you can have your left leg out straight, right foot right about at the left knee, and take that right knee over towards the floor on your left. Boy, that's a lot of lefts and rights. I hope I didn't show my dyslexia and get them all mixed up. Anyway, any kind of twist that feels good for you. And because we're coming towards the end of our practice, think about Shavasana already, as if you're doing Shavasana in this pose. So you can put support underneath those knees if you like. Find the breath. And each time you exhale, just letting go of effort, letting go of doing. Again, some nice gentle but gently deepening breath to exercise the breathing muscles and really clear out any stale air down in the bases of the lungs. We need our lungs, just like we are all getting filters like filtered masks and filters, air conditioning filters for the house. Our lungs are the filters for our body. So all this twisting is nourishing and cleansing for the lungs and exercising the breathing muscles. When you're ready to come out of the twist on this side, lead with the top leg and bring your head back to the starting position. And just have both legs stretched out straight for a moment and just appreciate again what you've just done and its impact on your body. And then when you feel inclined to, go ahead and move into the twist on the other side. Support your body however you like in the pose so that you can really melt into it. Okay, when you're ready, coming out of this pose mindfully and setting yourself up for Shavasana. That might mean putting a pillow or your bolster underneath your knees or legs up the wall. Just supporting your body in such a way that the body can really rest. Let the arms be out to the sides of the body a bit. Close the eyes if you like. And just let your awareness sort of roam around inside this body. Just noticing all the various sensations. And actually feeling the sensations rather than thinking about them. Feeling the vibration or the warmth or tingling, or the feeling of the floor at the back of your hand, temperature, movement of the breath. It'll be natural for your attention to wander away from time to time. So even just noticing that, how maybe you've started to think about dinner or something that happened earlier in the day or something that might happen tomorrow. Just recognizing that that's the normal activity of a healthy brain. But you're the boss of the brain, so you can choose to practice So this is another thing we can practice, bringing our attention back to being at home in the body, being embodied. Okay, and just slowly coming back to the evening you have ahead of you, just maybe wiggling fingers or toes or stretching in some way. You're welcome to just stay as you are and have a longer, luxurious Shavasana. Or you can make your way onto your side and then up to sitting. And just practicing pausing again, just taking another moment just to linger. Noticing again how you feel in your body after your practice tonight, how it's landed for you. And I'd like to thank each of you who attended. Like I say, I know that Charlie and Karen are here and Brenda, and of course I can see Adele. And please remember, if you can't make a class, let me know ahead of time or whenever you can. And I can send you the recording of the class, okay? All right. Namaste, my friends.
Hey.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Here's my kitty. Come here, Jackson.
Jill, can you hear me?
I can hear somebody. Who is it?
Okay. Well, that's Brenda. It looks like you can see me, so I don't know. I don't know why you can't see me.
I don't know why either. I tried to ask my husband to help me out, and I couldn't see Adele at the beginning either. But now I can see her, so I don't know what the difference is.
I can see
Well,
Brenda.
Adele, you can see Brenda?
I can.
I
She looks
can.
like- Can you see me?
Yep.
Well, we lost Karen and Charlie.
No, they're back. I can see them now.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
Why is it that I can't see
Oh.
you guys?
Oh, I see Charlie and Karen. And, well, we just don't know.
Yeah,
We
it says
see-
there's 7 participants.
Bye, y'all. We'll see you next week.
Okay, take
Bye.
care.
Good to see you.
Likewise, I like seeing you guys. I'm just going to stop the recording and then I'll be here if anybody, let's see, yes.